Okay, my next guest on this subject is Gerry Nosowska, Chair of the British Association of Social Workers. Good afternoon, Gerry.
Good afternoon.
Do you take any hope from this report out today? It is very comprehensive. It is very long. There's some pretty damning conclusions in it. Do you think it'll actually be put into reality?
You're talking about it and your listeners are hearing about it, and that is something to take a lot of hope from, actually. It's about time that we talked about child protection, wider children's services, and the real need that our children and families have to change things here.
Because we don't talk about it enough, do we? I just made that point earlier with Anna Edmondson. We don't talk about it enough, and yet there are 80,000 kids currently, in children's social services. That number could rise to 100,000.
Yeah, and it's right for us all to think about this and talk about this, because these are our children. This is the future of our society. We want these kids to do well so that we're all better off. Everyone is better off if everyone is thriving. So it's really good to talk about it today.
Okay, and as a social worker, what are the things that need to be done, and where do you feel that you need help most?
Social workers basically want to have time with children and families. We need experienced social workers to be able to sit down with a family, get to the bottom of what's happening for them, and then be able to pull in the support that family needs and wrap it around them so that they can go on and just get on with their lives. And for that to happen, we need to keep social workers. We need to have that support available. And we also need to stop the kind of things that make families struggle in the first place. And the biggest thing is poverty. So
the cost of living crisis is just going to make this worse, isn't it?
It's been a really difficult time. We've had 10 years of cuts. We've had a pandemic, which we're still kind of trying to come out of. And the cost of living crisis is beginning to bite. So, yeah, it's absolutely right for the government to be looking at this and to be looking at the kind of investment that would actually make a difference.
I mean, I think people don't always appreciate the kind of work that you do. Just give us an insight into the work of a social worker and how many hours it takes to really get to grips with a problem and get the confidence of a family to talk to, let alone the kids.
And when you mention hours, the first thing that comes to mind is that most social workers work a day a week extra overtime. So I'll just put that out there. But yeah, what a social worker would do would make a contact with a family, get to know them, build a relationship under really difficult circumstances, and really try to understand what it's like for them. And then use the knowledge and the kind of therapeutic skills that we've got to try to understand what's the best way of helping that family change the things that they need to. And that might be that they are struggling with a relationship problem, money problems, health problems, housing problems. So it's a very kind of, it's an amazing job. It is really about coming to someone who's in a real struggle and helping them get out of it.
And I'm assuming, not having done it, that, actually physical contact with people, eyeball to eyeball, in their living rooms, at the doorstep, makes all the difference. So the pandemic, where all our social lives were conducted on Zoom or not at all, must have been a disaster for your profession.
Pandemic was really hard for people who need social work and for social workers trying to offer that support. Social workers were out every single day during the pandemic. They didn't stop knocking on doors and going into people's homes. It was difficult, yes, absolutely. We had to argue for the protective equipment we needed. We had to make loads of adjustments, see people in gardens, see people for shorter times. Some of the technology has really helped us, but really nothing, you're absolutely right, nothing replaces having enough time and having experienced people sitting with a family and working with them to solve their problems. And
just finally, Gerry, I mentioned earlier that there's a 15% vacancy rate in children's social care. Does that apply to social workers as well? Have you got vacancies that you can't fill?
Yeah, we're looking at about a 17% vacancy rate across children's social workers. And that's largely because experienced people are deciding to leave. So we just want to hang on to people. We've got great people coming into the profession. We've got really experienced people within it. Let's give them the support to stay. OK, Gerry Nosowska, Chair of the British Association of Social Workers, thank you very much indeed for spending some time with us this afternoon.